Well, now to Huntington's disease. It is a devastating genetic neurological disorder that affects up to about 750 people here in Ireland. Yet we've no specialist clinics for the condition. In Scotland, a country with a similar population, they have 9 such clinics. It's Huntington's Awareness Week and sufferers, families and clinicians are now calling on the government for better services. In just a moment, I'm going to be speaking to Dr. Niall Pender. But first, to hear what the disease means on a day-to-day basis, I'm joined from our Limerick studio by Siobhan and Frankie Lundy. Siobhan and Frankie, thank you both very much indeed for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Frankie, you were diagnosed with this condition some time ago. Can you tell me, what does it mean to you? Or what has it meant for you?
I'll be honest with you, it's very life-changing because I was very outgoing guy, you know, and my life was all around music, playing music, and, you know, sometimes I used to deliver stuff in my little van, and it's devastating because I can't work anymore. I can't do anything more. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I feel very annoyed with this. I feel very annoyed that I have this gene, you know, this problem with me. But I mean, like, I can't blame myself because also, I mean, I can't blame my dad because, you know, it's not their fault. It's not my fault, you know. But it's just terrible out there, you know. That it's like it's very hard to know where to turn. We're kind of, you know, crossroads. Like what's going to happen next? Just hoping for the best, you know.
And Frankie, can I ask you, I mean, obviously the disease has affected your movement, but there are more aspects to it than that. Can you describe what the disease has done to you?
Well, I am very clumsy. Often, look-see. Very clumsy. I was banging into things. My balance sometimes is not great. I also have talking problems. Sometimes my throat gets very dry, you see. Also, I have difficulty sometimes eating and swallowing. So I'm on, it's not really liquid diet, it's like, what's it called?
The Ensure drinks there, extremely high calorie drinks,
right.
That kind of build him up a little bit.
So, you know, I just try my best to get by, you know, but it is fairly devastating, but, you know, but you have to try and be positive, and you have to try and look forward to the future for future kids and stuff like that, you know, and future families, you know.
And Siobhan, if I can ask you,
yeah.
There is a 50% chance that each of your children will have the same gene for Huntington's disease.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I know your children are still very young, but I mean, for you as Frankie's partner, what has that meant for the family?
It's kind of a bolt out of the blue, because obviously kind of you have your kids and you think everything's going to go swimmingly along, and then you realise that there's this like half and half chance that they could develop this. And you don't find out until they are 18. They can be tested then. Now, they can choose not to if they want to. But until they're 18, they can't really be tested. So you do kind of have it hanging over your head. And I think the thing that scares me the most is for them to see their dad go through this with it hanging over them, that they may or may not have it themselves.
They know that already, that they may or may not carry the gene, do they?
I haven't explained that part yet, no.
Yeah, because they are very young. And can I ask you, Siobhan, I mean, in terms of the services that you can access in Limerick, how would you describe them?
Well, we're actually from Ennis, and there's not really much there at the moment. I mean, we have a great psychiatrist. Frankie has a great psychiatrist, and he's brilliant support. And also our GPs, occupational therapists, they're brilliant. But I must admit, it's the HDAI, the Huntington's Disease Association of Ireland, who have really been there for us. I mean, you can call them any time, and there's always somebody there, you know.
It's like the very first time, actually, I got my results right in Limerick. The guy in Limerick, or my doctor in Limerick, actually just said to me, by the way, you have this gene, okay? Right, so that was fine. And then what he did was he gave me just a photocopy of the number in, or the address in Dublin. That was the HDAI in Dublin. So that's how we knew about, you know, there was nothing there for us. So we just rang this. All of a sudden, we rang Patricia and Liz above, and we found them absolutely lovely people. You know, they're there, and they help. They're there to help people. You know, when you're stuck. You know,
right?
I mean, they're not the be all and end all, but they're there for support. They're kind of moral support and kind of that type of support.
Actually, can I just say, there's one thing that we found out. We spent the last weekend. There's a respite retreat that goes on every year thanks to the HDAI. It's up in Cushla in Roscommon, and it's run by the Irish Wheelchair Association, and we were there. But when we were having meetings there, we found that there seems to be creeping in this thing where people with Huntington's and their families are being denied medical cards because it's almost like it's too expensive. Now, we have medical cards, thank God. Yeah. But it's getting to the stage now. We met quite a few people with Huntington's that are now being refused it. Because it's like...
That is certainly something we can look into. Obviously, we need figures on that. But look, just to say, Siobhan and Frankie, thank you very much indeed for joining us and for illustrating to us what the disease, the impact it has on a family's life. And very best of luck to you, to you both.
Can I just add one more little thing?
Yeah.
There is a benefit night being run. It's called the Friends for Friends fundraising for Huntington's and Milford Hospice. It's on in the Strand Hotel on the 17th.
OK.
Everybody's welcome.
All right, all right. Well, listen, Siobhan, best of luck with that night too. Thank you for joining us. Well, now, in studio here, I'm joined by Dr. Niall Pender. Dr. Pender, I mean, of all the neurological conditions, Huntington's really is the worst. It's a combination of the worst aspects of so many different diseases. Can just tell me, like, are there any treatments for it at the moment?
No,
or cures for it?
I mean, I agree entirely. It's a devastating, global, progressive, degenerative disease. It's incurable at present. There is no cure for Huntington's disease. The gene is inherited from birth and progresses slowly with symptoms, I suppose, coming onset usually around late 30s, early 40s, usually by the time most people have had their children, in fact. So you have a huge impact within the family. As you can see there's grandparents, children, cousins, aunts, uncles, siblings with the illness. And so there's usually one or two healthy people who are trying to care for all these people on their own.
I mean, that's the problem. It's a dominant gene.
Absolutely.
So if you get the gene, you have the disease. No two ways about it.
If you get the gene, you'll get the disease. And as I said, at the moment, there is no cure for the disease. It's symptom management, as you heard there. It's working with individual specialists who are going to manage the different aspects of the disease. And there's three main types. The psychiatric types that you heard there, depression and psychosis. There's a higher rate of suicide in Huntington's sufferers and their siblings, actually, and family members. There's a dementia that can start, and there's a movement disorder with difficulties of swallowing and seating and movement. So it's devastating in the fact that it affects all aspects of a person's life and the whole family completely.
And Niall, at the moment, I mean, from your experience of working with this condition, are the services adequate here in Ireland? No, unfortunately not. I mean, we have pockets of people who are really dedicated to caring for people with this condition. But we don't have any integrated, proper multidisciplinary services that would exist in other countries around the world. Proper centres where people can go and meet their therapists, physiotherapists, OT, speech, dietetics, psychiatry, neurology, psychology, and get a proper review when they need it in a timely way. It's a progressive disease, so over a 15 to 20 year period, the people will change and they'll deteriorate, and they need a responsive service that's going to meet their needs, and at the moment they don't have that. And is there any sign of that? Is anyone listening at the moment?
We're trying, in Beaumont Hospital at the moment, we're trying to get a multidisciplinary service together with psychiatry and neurology services, and we're starting research collaborations internationally, and there's some going on in Galway at the moment. But really, they're fledgling, they're starting, and we're trying to get funding for this. But in the current climate, it's very difficult with such a rare disease. But I mean, you saw there 250 or 750 people or so, but there's at least 2,500 at risk, and then the whole family member suffering from it. So this is not an inconsequential illness. And
there is one piece of good news in that for people who may or may not carry the gene, there is now a technique to look for it in embryos. So
there's an IVF procedure. It's very new. There are people travelling to the UK for this. It doesn't exist in Ireland at the moment, where they can look at the embryo and re-implant the non-Huntington's gene. It's very risky and it's expensive, and people have to travel for it. So hopefully that will be something that we'll see on the horizon that will improve the outlook for people.
OK, well, Niall, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning.